The world we see is a fabrication, a grand illusion. We walk upon a stage we believe to be solid, a landscape of rock and river, mountain and valley, shaped by forces we call geological. We credit volcanoes for the land, ice for the canyons, and rivers for the deltas. And in this, we are not wrong, but we are tragically incomplete. We have missed the greatest force of all. We have overlooked the true architect, the silent, relentless engine of creation that has been terraforming this planet for 500 million years, long before the first primate stood upright. We look at the forest floor, the meadow, the garden. We see dirt, a simple, static, two-dimensional surface, a floor upon which life plays out its dramas. We are creatures of the surface, and so our minds stop at the boundary of the soil. We see it as a given, a prerequisite for life. But this is the most profound mistake we make. There was a time, in the deep past, when the continents were sterile, a hard, unforgiving world of pulverized rock and mineral dust, a planet of gray and ochre. Rain, when it fell, did not soak in. It struck the compacted ground and fled, creating flash floods of grit and silt, carving sterile canyons. The air was thick with carbon. The first plants were small, desperate things, clinging to this rock, their roots shallow, unable to penetrate the planetary crust. It was a world almost silent. And then it arrived. Not a titan, not a god from the sky. It was a tube, simple, blind, and vulnerable. A hydrostatic skeleton, a primitive nerve cord, a mouth, and a gut. We know it today as the common earthworm, Lumbricus terrestris, a creature we see as little more than fish bait, a primitive organism that emerges in the rain. We see it as a consequence of healthy soil. But what if we told you that this is not a resident, that this is the architect? What if we told you that this simple, blind, slimy creature is not in the soil, but that the soil is in fact its creation? What if we told you that this animal, without eyes or brain or bone, is the single most powerful geological force on the continents, that it moves more earth every year than all the rivers of the world combined? What if we told you that this worm is a mountain mover and the silent, uncredited inventor of the very concept of agriculture? The story of the earthworm is the story of the living world itself. It is the story of how life does not simply inhabit the planet. It builds it. The work began 400 million years ago. It has never stopped. It begins with a single instinct, to eat and to move. The worm burrows. It is not alone. In a single healthy acre, there can be over 1 million of them. A silent, writhing army numbering in the quadrillions, spread across every continent, save Antarctica. And they are not just digging, they are consuming the planet. This is the engineer's primary act. The earthworm eats. It eats the dead world. It pulls fallen leaves, dead microbes, and mineral particles into its simple gut. This is the great mixing. Before the worm, organic matter, dead leaves, dead plants, simply sat on the hard pan, slowly oxidizing, releasing its carbon back to the atmosphere. The mineral world below remained sterile. They were two separate, non-interacting worlds, the dead and the deader. The worm is the bridge. It is a vertical transport system. Species like the deep-burrowing nightcrawler pull organic riches from the surface, dragging them meters down into the mineral earth. Other species burrow horizontally, mixing the layers. The ground, for the first time in Earth's history, is being stirred, but the true magic, the alchemy, happens inside. The worm's gut is not just a digestive tract. It is a biological superreactor, a microcosm of planetary change. As the mineral particles and organic matter pass through, they are ground against each other. The gizzard, filled with sharp grains of sand, pulverizes rock into fine powder, a process that would normally take weather and time millennia to accomplish. But this is just the physical action. The chemical transformation is even more profound. The worm's gut is a living bioreactor, teeming with a density of microbes found nowhere else in nature. These microbes, along with the worm's own secretions, do the impossible. They break down complex organic compounds. They unlock phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen from the mineral grains. They neutralize acids and toxins. This creature is a living fertilizer factory. And then it delivers its product. The casting. This is not waste, it is an engineering marvel. These small granular pellets are the building blocks of a new world. A single earthworm cast is 5 times richer in available nitrogen, 7 times richer in available phosphorus, and 11 times richer in available potassium than the surrounding soil. They are coated in a beneficial mucus, a glue that binds the fine particles together. This is the invention of aggregate structure. This is the immediate explosive consequence of the worm's action. The hard, compacted planet is gone. In its place, a new material has been forged. We call it topsoil. It is a living, breathing sponge. The castings, these aggregates, create spaces, tiny pockets of air, and microscopic channels. The worm's own burrows, some plumbing meters deep, become superhighways for air and water. Now, when the rain falls, it is captured. It no longer flees from the land. It is drawn deep into the earth, filtered and stored. The burrows act as millions of microscopic dams and aqueducts, recharging the groundwater. Flash floods are tamed. Rivers, fed by this slow filtered release, begin to run clear and stable. The worm has, in effect, hijacked the planet's hydrological cycle. It has irrigated the continents. The ecosystem reacts, and it reacts with explosive force. For the plants, this is liberation. Their roots, once confined to the shallow, sterile surface, now have a path. They follow the worm burrows deep into the new, aerated and watered earth, finding an unprecedented banquet of unlocked nutrients. Plants are no longer small, struggling things. They can grow large. They can put down deep, permanent roots. The first great forests are born, built upon the foundation laid by the worm. As the soil ecologist Dr. Earthworm puts it, we often see the relationship backward. We assume the forest creates the soil. The opposite is true. The worm creates the soil, and the soil permits the forest. The earthworm is the engine of terrestrial biodiversity. This is the cascade. This is the ecological domino effect. The deep-rooted plants, in turn, stabilize the new soil. More plants mean more food for herbivores. More herbivores mean more predators. The entire terrestrial food web, all the way up to the great mammals, is standing on the shoulders of this invertebrate. But the cascade does not stop on land. The worm's influence re-engineers the globe. By pulling carbon-rich leaves deep into the soil, the worm is sequestering atmospheric carbon on a massive scale. The carbon, instead of returning to the air, is locked away in stable soil compounds, a process that helped cool the entire planet during key geological eras. The casts that erode into rivers are not pollutants. They are a nutrient pulse, feeding the base of freshwater and even marine food webs. The worm, working in the dark beneath a forest, is shaping the life of the oceans. Geologists have a term, explains planetary scientist Dr. Helen Shaw: bioturbation, the movement of material by life. We are forced to concede that the earthworm is the single greatest agent of bioturbation in planetary history. Its collective action, over 400 million years, has moved more material than plate tectonics. It has literally, physically, moved mountains, not by raising them, but by eating them, particle by particle, and turning them into life. Now we leap forward in time. We stand in the present day, in a world built by this hidden engineer. The sterile, hardpan planet of the deep past is a distant memory. In its place is a world of deep, black, fertile soils. We stand in the Chernozem of the Ukrainian steppe, a layer of black soil meters deep, so rich it is practically inexhaustible. We stand in the prairies of North America, whose fertility fed a continent, a soil built by millennia of grass and worm interaction. This is not ground. This is a living artifact, an architectural structure of planetary scale, built by quadrillions of laborers over geological time. Who are the winners and losers in this new reality? The losers are the ancient world of sterile rock and shallow-rooted scrub. The winners are everyone else, the towering trees, the vast herds of bison, the freshwater fish, amphibians, and birds that thrive in the stable, clean, and productive wetlands. And, of course, a bipedal ape that was just beginning its journey. Here we find the greatest ecological irony. For millions of years, this silent army toiled in darkness. They burrowed, they mixed, they ground, they enriched. They built a bank, a planetary savings account of fertility. They stored sunlight, carbon, minerals, and water in a stable, accessible, and impossibly rich form. And then, around 12,000 years ago, Homo sapiens had a clever idea. The idea was to stop chasing food and to grow it in one place. We call this the agricultural revolution. We mark it as the dawn of human civilization. We credit our own genius for this monumental leap. But this is a fantasy. Human agriculture did not invent fertile soil. It found it. It mined it. The plow, the spade, the hoe, these are not tools of creation. They are tools of extraction. Every great human civilization, the Egyptians on the Nile, the Mesopotamians in the Fertile Crescent, the Harappans in the Indus Valley, the Romans, the Maya, was built quite literally upon the processed castings of the earthworm. We did not build our world on foundations of rock or steel. We built it on the engineered earth of an invertebrate. We are, and have always been, a civilization entirely dependent on a worm. And this reveals our modern tragedy. The contrast between our world and a world without this engineer is stark. We need only look to the high north, to the boreal forests of Canada and Siberia, where the last ice age scraped the land clean and scraped the earthworms away. In those lands, the worms have not returned. The soil is thin, acidic, and peaty. The trees are stunted. The land is hard. This is the world without the engineer. Now, we, the new engineers, in our arrogance, are creating this world everywhere. We are waging a chemical and physical war on our own life support system. Modern industrial agriculture, with its heavy plows, rips and shatters the soil structure, the aggregates, the burrows. The soil compacts. It turns back into hardpan. The pesticides and herbicides, the vast quantities of synthetic nitrogen. These are a poison bath for the worm. They burn its sensitive skin. They kill its food source. They sterilize the soil. We are, for the first time in 400 million years, reversing the process. We are unengineering the planet. And the results are predictable. The compacted soil can no longer hold water. The rain, finding no path in, runs off the surface, taking our dead, precious topsoil with it. It chokes the rivers, creating dead zones in the ocean. The soil, without its mixers, cannot bury carbon. Instead, it bleeds it back into the atmosphere. We are witnessing the great undoing. We are turning the living, breathing sponge of the earth back into the sterile rock it once was. It began in darkness, a simple creature, a blind instinct to eat, to move. A single burrow became an aquifer. A single casting became a seed bed. 1 billion tons of sterile mineral dust became a living, breathing biosphere. We search the cosmos for signs of intelligence, for forces capable of terraforming a planet. We build monuments of steel and concrete to our own engineering prowess. But what is intelligence? Is it the mind that can calculate the orbit of a distant moon? Or is it the collective 400 million-year-old instinct that can build a living world from dead rock? We call them lowly. We call them simple. We call them worms. But these creatures have been practicing planetary-scale carbon capture, sustainable water management, and advanced soil alchemy since before the dinosaurs. We, the intelligent engineers, have managed to threaten that entire system in less than 200 years. The next time you stand on the earth, in a forest, in a field, even in your own garden, pause. You are not standing on a solid, static thing. You are standing on the roof of a vast, subterranean city, a biological factory that dwarfs all of human industry. You are standing on a structure built and meticulously maintained by the true engineer of our world, the silent, tireless, and uncelebrated architect that moves mountains,